Hi, I'm Tom Greenwood. This is my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to talk about this idea of universal basic income. This video might be a little bit longer than my other videos. The concepts here are not super complex, but it takes a little while to get into the meat of what I think about universal basic income and why I'm not sure that UBI will work the way it's being thought about now. So universal basic income is this idea that as more and more things get automated, there'll be less and less work to do. So the factories will go from needing people to run the machines to being fully automated by computer artificial intelligence, and that will spread out into driverless cars, and there'll just be less and less work for people to do as computers take over more and more. Now, I'm not convinced that this will happen, but a lot of people who are more immersed in it think it's a likelihood. Guys like Elon Musk and Bill Gates and some other people like that think that it's going to happen, the taking over. So the question becomes, if the machines take over, who owns the machines? And that's a total nother debate. But one thing that's been put forward is, if we run out of work for people to do, how do we feed the people? How do we take care of them? How do we keep an economy going? All this stuff. So one idea is universal basic income. That basically everyone will get like a stipend from the government. It's an interesting idea. The problem, there are some problems with it. The first off is that money is infinite. There's an infinite supply of money. There's no maximum amount of money that will ever be printed. There's no maximum amount that can ever exist of money. It's an infinite supply. It's just based on pumping more zeros into the system. So it doesn't really work. But something that does work, something that money isn't real in the sense that it's of a limited quantity. But what is of a limited quantity, what we do have is there's a limited quantity of energy that comes into the earth. So there's a maximum amount of sunlight that strikes the surface of the earth every day. It's a known amount. There's a maximum number of coffee cups. There's a maximum number of smartphones. There's a maximum number of t-shirts. So there's a maximum number of items that can exist in the world. And there's a maximum number of, there's a maximum amount of industry that the environment can support before it crashes. So that's the real indicator. These things are real. There's of a known quantity. And every item that exists on the face of the planet takes so much energy to create. It takes so much energy to grow a tree. It takes so much energy to cut a tree down. It takes so much energy to move it to a mill. It takes so much energy to mill it into coffee cups. Okay, so there's a known number of energy units, of joules that it would take, or heat calories that it would take. So that is known. How much energy it's going to take. So it's also known how much energy a human being needs to exist. Now, there's a certain amount of calories that a person needs to sustain life, and then there is a certain amount of caretaking that has to be done to the human body beyond food. There's also the health and well-being of the organism. So we need to be able to go to doctors to get shots, to get operations. We need to go to the dentist, the eye doctor. It takes so much heat to keep us warm in the winter. There's a whole bunch of stuff. And the quality of life that every human being experiences is kind of on a scale. And there's some people who are living on almost nothing in certain parts of the world, or very little even here in America, all the way up to super opulent people like, the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia has more money than God. Anyway, so there's a minimum amount of energy it takes to keep a person alive, and there is a certain quality of life that is good for human beings, and there's a point where it just degrades and goes down. So we as a species, we as a people who govern ourselves would have to decide, like, what is the quality of life that we would establish for ourselves, and then determine what the energy cost is to create that. And then whenever we decided what that minimum standard was, we would then establish like a currency based on energy. So it takes X amount of energy to create your standard of life. Here's your energy budget. If you want to take that energy budget and buy Cuban cigars and brandy, that's fine. And if you you run out of budget, then everything else you want, you got to go get yourself. You got to hunt it down and kill it, or trade for it, or work for it, or whatever you do to get it at that point. And I'm not convinced that we're going to go to that kind of economy, although it's an interesting idea, and there's some great experiments that are running right now in, I think, Denmark or Netherlands, somewhere over there, Finland, they tried universal basic income in Canada. Those records are sealed. Nobody knows what happened in that experiment, but it's happening in a couple of places. An idea that I saw today was a thing called universal basic access. So instead of guaranteeing everybody a stipend, what they would say is that everybody below a certain threshold of financial independence, or a certain so much money, would get guaranteed access. So if you don't have a job, or your job doesn't pay crap, you'd be guaranteed access to things like public transportation, basic internet and television service, basic kind of food supplements. And I think that that's a very interesting idea, possibly a much better idea, because what we're saying is that everybody that's falling below this threshold, we're not going to leave you to just suffer lack of access like people who are doing better than you can, but instead we would guarantee like basically a certain standard of living for people who fell below that threshold. And that might be the disabled, the elderly, people that currently fall on welfare right now, food stamps and stuff like that. So that's a whole spectrum of people. People have really low paying jobs where they still qualify for all kinds of public assistance. So I like that idea of allowing access to a basic set of things that people need, that we decide that people should have in our society. Both are very interesting ideas. The idea of a basic income is very questionable to a lot of people, because they ask, where does the money come from? The money doesn't matter. It's more like, where do the items come from, and what does it take to make those items, and how much items should a person be entitled to if there is no work for them to do and the robots are doing all the work. The other idea of basic access is, a lot of people would still be working much like they are today, but if you're just so poor that you can't get internet, food, home, whatever, that we would provide those things for you as a society. And then I don't know, it's just an idea. Some I read today. I thought it was an interesting idea, and it fits very much in with the whole discussion about universal basic income. The arguments against it are, people talk about communism. I believe that it's possible that you can create dependence upon the system by giving that kind of stuff out. But, that's an argument for another day, another time. Yeah, let me know what you think about this stuff. It's super intriguing to me. Anyway, next video I'm going to do is, my friend Jason Quick requested that I talk about the Eisenhower Cross, which is a decision-making kind of matrix. Anyway, if you like this stuff, subscribe to my channel, show my videos to people that you think would like it, send me some mail, give me a call, hit me up on Twitter, Facebook, whatever, however you know me or get a hold of me or don't know me, whatever. I love to talk about all kinds of crazy stuff, so feel free to get a hold of me, and maybe we can meet for a cup of coffee. All right, bye.